used to be an adventurer like you. Then I took an arrow in the knee.
I took an arrow in the knee.
Aloha, everybody. Welcome to episode number 12 of your Elder Scrolls Online podcast. My name is Tom Powers. Welcome to Troll Scroll. Glad to be here. Got a big show ahead of us. Let's see. Crafting. What is crafting going to be in TESO? Is there going to be any innovations? Is there going to be any difference from other MMORPGs with the TESO crafting system? That's going to be one of our main topics this evening. Along with that, we have question of the day, and we are going to break down what Megaservers are, or what the Megaserver is, I should say, and what does it mean. But first, ladies first, Sophie Brecka.
Hey guys.
How you doing?
Doing good. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back. It wasn't that long ago we posted episode 11, but we're recording sort of earlier than we expected this week. But that's okay. I'm excited. I think we have some stuff to talk about, and I'm looking forward to it. Welcome to the show, Sophie. Glad to have you. And my fellow Michigander, that French guy, Tim LaPerriere. Hey!
What's up?
What's going on, dude?
Nothing at all. I just ready to do a podcast.
How was your day?
My day was uneventful, to say the least. I went to work and did homework, and that's pretty much it. So I'm looking forward to talking about the Elder Scrolls.
Nice, nice. And Waterboy, hello.
How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing well.
Doing well. Yeah, doing well. Look at you.
It's Waterboy now?
Waterboy, yes.
Don't-
You wanted a new nickname.
I don't
You
like
did.
that
True.
one either, though. But
It doesn't matter, Dan. We don't get to pick our names.
sure.
It's okay, Waterboy.
You're stuck with the name you're born
It's
with.
all right. It's all right. All right, guys, let's jump into the show. MMORPG.com interview. Mr. Paul Sage said a couple things about crafting. Specifically, that crafting is going to be taken seriously in the Elder Scrolls Online, unlike other MMORPGs. It's going to be extremely viable. In fact, he encouraged players that want to strive to be the best geared to participate in crafting if they want to be totally geared out for dungeons and other PvE types of gameplay. Sophie, what do you think?
I really hope they're gonna stick to their word, because in so many games, crafting is a thing, but it does not really participate in, the best gear you can get in the game. But I like what Paul Sage said, you need to have the best gear, you will need crafters. Crafters will be critical for the Elder Scrolls Online, so it's something I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, that's so true. I think the past 20 MMORPGs that have released in the past, 5 years have said, oh yeah, crafting's going to be big deal.
Oh,
Crafting's going to be huge deal.
yeah, and
It's
not.
going to compete with, the gear that you earn from PvE raids or the best PvP gear. Crafters are going to be able to, make their footmark in this world. Tim, what do you think? You think this is bollocks?
Well, you know what? I mean, we got our hopes up playing. I'm just going to go out and say it. Star Wars: The Old Republic had said that they were going to do this. Okay, and I know we rag on Tor a
Always
lot,
goes back to
but
Tor.
there were so many things that were said about that game that I never really, seen in the actual finished product. Like, for instance, it was said that crafting was going to play such a major role that there were going to be schematics that were only available to a couple players per server, so that players would be able to grab those schematics from a flashpoint or an operation, and then they were going to be able to craft those items, and it would be like one out of maybe 4 or 5 people, if that could even craft that item. So this way they could make a name for themselves, and those items were apparently supposed to be viable in endgame. But I never seen those schematics, and the gear that was craftable really was not at all viable by the time you got to endgame. I mean, maybe you could do a couple like hard mode flashpoints or something like that, but those really weren't that tough anyways. Usually when I think of endgame, I kind of think of like operations or raids, you know what I'm saying? Not necessarily just rehashed instances that you've done, you know, from level 10 to 15 or whatever. So I'm kind of hoping that they actually keep their word on this one, and crafting is sort of, or at least, I should just say it, I really hope crafting is totally viable in endgame, because, I mean, crafters, there's people that play MMOs that don't actually do the combat, they just craft. I mean, that's what a lot of people do in RuneScape, and I know RuneScape's not really an MMO, but it is to an extent, and I know a lot of people that seriously just play that game just to do they're called skillers in that game, and all they do is just level up their non-combat skills. And they have a lot more fun doing that than the actual combat. So, you know, I hope we can get that kind of community in TESO as well.
You know, I'm going to speculate a little bit here. In the introduction to TESO video that came out, what was it, a couple months ago? A month ago, maybe? That 10-minute video, it was said by the developers that when players participated together in PvE content, they didn't want the players to have the mindset that they're competing with their teammates on loot drops and such. They wanted everyone, and when I say they, I mean Zenimax Online wanted all of the players to have an equal reward for their accomplishments. Do you think that perhaps the crafting material will be the loot drops instead of the actual armor pieces or the actual weapons? Everyone will get a crafting piece that contributes to that gear item, and therefore that's the equal reward that the players receive when they participate in content together.
You know, I hope that they have some type of rare loot drops for crafters, but I hope that they don't go necessarily that route. Just because, I mean, that seems a bit hardcore for me. Like, and when I mean hardcore, I mean, like, that means everybody that's playing TESO would have to be a crafter. Because if you're not getting gear drops and you're only getting, you know, consumables or mats and stuff like that, I should say, you're really not, you know, if you're not a crafter, you're really not getting anything for defeating that NPC. So I hope that they have a good mix of gear drops and craftable drops. Balance wise, I mean, I don't know. You can drop certain things like, you know, gloves or something like that, and then like drop pieces of like a chest piece. You know what I'm saying? So like pieces that make a chest piece. See, a chest piece is obviously, it has more armor and more stats and so on and so forth, as opposed to gloves. Yet the gloves drop as a solid piece of gear for those who don't craft. And for the crafters, you know, they have a chance at getting still something that they could craft that people are going to want to buy later on. So I don't know. They have to find a way to balance it. But yeah, I hope that they kind of go both ways on that way, just so you can kind of get the best of both worlds for both parties. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. I know it's been stated before. It's not totally confirmed. The developers have said many times that they're still in debate, not in debate, but they're still contemplating whether or not they want players to receive their best gear set by more than just one aspect of the game. You have to participate in the PvP content if you want to get some items of your gear set. You have to participate in PvE content to get the other items. And then Paul Sage in the MMORPG.com interview said that if you really, really want to be into it with getting the best gear, crafting is going to be just as significant as those two other elements in receiving your gear. Do you guys think that, you know, let's say you aren't a crafter, do you think you'll be at an extreme disadvantage, according to what Paul Sage said? It sounded like in the interview he said you don't need to craft. Players will still be able to get gear that's viable and good, but how much of a sort of margin do you think? How much space would there be in sort of power between someone that is actually taking crafting seriously and gathering their gear set from both PvE and PvP content, and someone that isn't really into crafting, but they still get their gear from PvE and PvP?
I don't think it'll be that big of a deal. I think there'll be some bit of a difference, but how much of a difference, we don't know. Like, is it going to be stat difference, or is it going to be a cosmetic difference? Like, if you're a crafter, are you going to be able to make it look better, or a way that you want it to look? Or is it going to be are the stats going to be a little bit better?
I think it would have to do with stats.
You know, and I want to add to what Dan's saying, though. Dan does bring up a good point. What if instead of, you know, you had to be a crafter to get completely, you know, the best set of gear, what if you could get the same gear from crafting, but it just looked different? Like, it had the same exact stats and everything, so technically speaking, it's still viable in endgame as if you were to get it through PvP and PvE, but it looked different so that crafters, you know, could make their mark and say, hey, look, this is crafted gear because it looks not necessarily cooler, but it has a different look to it. You know, Tor kind of did something like that too, where I think it was like, I want to say 1.4 or something like that, when they had added the War Hero gear or something like that. They allowed you to craft the gear, but you still had to have the Valor, and then you had to rip out the mods and stuff like that to give the gear its stats, but it looked different, and you could tell what was crafted and what was not crafted. So it kind of had a different look to it, yet, technically speaking, it was still viable at endgame because it was the same gear, but it just looked differently.
That's the point I was trying to make, yeah.
Cosmetically, yeah, that's a good point, Dan. I could see that happening.
What I got from what Policy said is that you will need both, you know, dungeon and crafting. Crafting will not be replaced by dungeons or vice versa. So it comes back to a bit of what you said before. Are we going to get crafting drops in dungeons for the good gear in the dungeons? And with that, we are going to need crafters to improve that piece of gear because one is not going to be more important than the other. But Paul Sage did say one will be an important piece to get your items. So I think both of them will be as you know, viable as any other. And that's why he said that crafting in ESO was going to be better than most MMOs, actually, from what we hope to get.
From what you know what always frustrated me with previous MMORPGs is that the stuff players craft is only stuff that seemed to shine when you were leveling. It was only gear that was good gear when you were leveling up to max level. And then when you got to max level, the crafting gear was mediocre. It was nothing special. It was viable, and that was it. And, you know, if you crafted gear for... It would be just sort of generic almost. It was like the generic armor set that you would use temporarily to get the really good set. Do you guys think that this is going to be an issue in the Elder Scrolls Online? Or do you guys think that the gear that you do craft, the weapons, the armor, will be sort of competitive and very, very good compared to the stuff that you earn from loot drops?
I think it's going to be very competitive. Like they've said, they're big into crafting. They're going to want it to be a real big aspect of their game. So they're going to make it competitive with the other armor that you can get that's not crafting.
The only thing I see is they have to give you incentive to still participate in PvP and in raids. And so I always feel that it doesn't matter what MMO you play, the gear that you get in PvP and raids, since you have to, you know, gather a team necessarily to go out and do that. Like, you know, you have to get an 8-man, 10-man, 15-man group together to go to a raid. You have to get, you know, 4 or 5 guys to go into an instance PvP or even go into RVR. Now, I mean, you'll probably be able to join RVR and stuff like that by yourself, but, you know, typically people do this stuff in groups. In crafting, I understand that you have to gather all the supplies and stuff like that, but I still feel that getting a raid group together and a PvP group together is a bit tougher, and that's sort of what's considered endgame. That's what most people find interest in. I mean, a lot of people do enjoy crafting, but I feel most people play to either do PvE or PvP. And so I think we'll still get good gear from crafting, but I think a majority of it will come from PvE and PvP.
Sophie, what do you think? Go ahead, Sophie.
Yeah, I guess I don't have the same gaming experience as you guys, but I know I always bring this game back because it's same with the same group of people that work in Zenimax, and it's Dark Age of Camelot. And in the templates, you know what are templates? It's when you have the gear that optimizes all your stats. So basically, the optimal gear that you can get in that game is you have crafter pieces. Some pieces like sleeve, boots, cap, most of the time has to be done by crafters. But the chest piece and the weapons and all that are things that are drops from PvE raid. So you have crafters that do some other pieces, and you have loots of dungeons or RVR or anything like that that is drop. So I think that in Elder Scrolls, we're going to see some pieces that are better, you know, from crafters, some pieces that are better from drops. So best of both worlds.
Interesting. And I was just going to ask, with the overarching economy in the Elder Scrolls Online, let's say, okay, you're not into crafting, but what if Zenimax Online made it where, for example, jewelry pieces, you can craft jewelry pieces, and that's the best jewelry for your gear set. It's better than the jewelry that drops in the PvE and PvP content. But if you're not into crafting, okay, fair enough. Then you buy it on the auction house. Or is that sort of taking away the whole point of, I guess, your struggle to get that good gear? You know what I'm saying? What do you guys think?
I mean, I don't see jewelry necessarily as that big of a piece. I mean, obviously, stats, any kind of stat that ups your abilities is valuable. But, you know, when you're comparing, you know, a ring to a chess piece, yeah, I could see crafters getting, you know, the ability to craft rings or even necklaces that are better than the ones that you get from raids and PvP. So, yeah, I wouldn't see a problem with that.
Yeah, and even if it's not jewelry, even if it's, I don't know, I guess. Go ahead, Sophie.
One thing that we mustn't forget about crafters, it's not just about making items, but they did say they were going to put enchanting in it. So you have your piece of armor. Your piece of armor is pretty good, but it won't be as good as if it's enchanted by a crafter. So
that's a good point.
So we're going to need crafters for obviously making pieces, but, you know, spell crafting, enchanting your pieces, it's something that I really suspect that we're going to see here.
I hope we see something more about crafting. I don't feel like one of the things that excited me about a previous game was the crew skills, which was essentially the crafting in Star Wars: The Old Republic, and I feel like there's nothing really unique about this crafting. All I hear is, oh, all right, it's not going to be the same old. You know, it's going to be the bomb. What I've heard for the past 10 MMOs that have come out the past 2 years, I hope we see something more with this. I hope they give enough incentive for players to craft. I've never really gotten into crafting in an MMORPG because I feel like it just adds to the grind, and there's never a big enough motive, for me at least, to work hard on gathering all these materials and getting my skill up to craft the item when the item is just viable at most. It's not even the best piece that can be offered. You know, why go jump through all these hoops when I could go on a raid and potentially get an item that's 5 times better?
No, I mean, you can make sweet mounts, right?
Yeah.
Those are good. That's about it, really.
Yeah, definitely. Well, no, that's true. That's cool. That's cool. Let's talk about mounts, guys. It's a little off topic, but let's talk about mounts. I know it was said in, I believe it was Game Informer, that mounts aren't going to be anything crazy. You're not going to be mounted on dragons or anything like that. It's going to be the usual, typical steed, the noble steed, horse. How do you guys think that they're going to make them unique? Do you guys think it's just going to be a different color of a horse, or is there going to be armor on horses? Is there going to be something unique?
I could see armor and stuff like that on horses. You know, I mean, in Oblivion, depending on the color of the horse, depending on how fast it moved. And I think they dropped that mechanic in Skyrim, but I think there was something else in Skyrim that they had instead, like, it might have been stamina or something like that, but, you know, there was different types of horses in Skyrim. You know, you had, like, undead horses, horses that were on fire, normal horses, different color of the normal horses. You could get horses, I don't know if you could get horses with armor. I never came across one, but I could see them doing something like that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's totally cool. I've always kind of wanted to get a mount, like, for instance, take a horse, okay, and be able to not necessarily add gear to it, but kind of customize it to an extent. You know what I'm saying? Like, you could take the gear and, like, you could add like armor to it, and then that reduced your chance of getting knocked off your horse. You know what I'm saying? So if you're running through mobs and they're attacking you, if you add armor, you have like a 15% less chance of getting knocked off. I mean, it's not really anything big, but it's something that crafters could mess around with. Okay, get some more stuff out on the auction house or whatever. And I just think it's a cool mechanic that, you know, you could add to something that I don't think has been done before. You know, and you get the chance to kind of customize your own mount and make it unique, just like a character. So. I
absolutely love that idea. I still don't understand why that hasn't happened. I don't get that. Why hasn't, with all these fantasy MMOs that have come out in the past, you would think a developer would be like, dude, we should totally have a pimp my mount sort of mechanic. I mean, right. That's so cool. And it's not just cool because you get the sort of, like, I don't know what it would be called, maybe resistance, or you have 5% less likely of a chance that you're going to be dismounted in combat, like you said. But cosmetically, it's cool.
Exactly. Even if they, just cosmetics, that's totally fine.
That's sweet. How sweet would it be, you know, having your horse just... And maybe there's other effects. Maybe because there's more armor on the horse, it runs slower or something. I don't know. Maybe it's something that... I feel like you could play around with that so much, and I would be totally down to craft to pimp my mount.
Aside from the looks and the armor of the horse, what do you think of saddlebags in which you could put some items in it? You know, that crafters could do.
Yeah.
So that could be a utility of the mount, and I don't know if they're going to allow mounts in PvP, but say you have siege weapons and it's so huge on you, but you have some space on your mount, you could probably put that on.
Exactly. It's like almost like a miniature mobile bank. You know what I'm saying? I totally agree with that. That's cool.
That would be sweet. What if? All right, let's say they have a guild ranking system in TESO. Merely speculation, guys. This isn't confirmed. Let's say there's a guild ranking system, and that's a guild perk, is you have your mobile guild bank. Right there. Right there. So, oh crap, I forgot to buy my freaking stamina buff. So you're in a PvE instance, and your tank's like, crap, I forgot my stamina buff. Or crap, I need potions or something. Oh, don't worry, man. Take out your mount, got your guild bank there. That's a perk. Just simple, convenient stuff like that. That's a great idea. That's a great idea, Sophie. Both great ideas. Don't know. Cool stuff, though. Cool stuff. Dan, what do you think about mounts? What's your take?
I think the reason why they're not very much in detail is because in the past games, they aren't really need to be used that much. They're used for travel, you know what I'm saying, like going back and forth, or if you're not going to fast travel. But right now, the game's going to be multiplayer, so you're going to be facing each other on different horses. So I think they're going to go in a little bit more depth and do what you guys are talking about, because now it's more part of the game than before.
Right. And you know what? I mean, like, in Skyrim, they recently, and by recently, I mean it was back when Dawnguard first came out, but they added mounted combat, which I thought was kind of cool, so that you could actually attack from the top of your horse. That's awesome. Now, there's some balancing issues to bring that over to an MMO. Could it be done? Yes. But that's also something that they could add. I mean, they're trying to stay true to the series, and they kind of added it. I'm not saying that it's going to be in the game, and like I said, there's definitely going to have to be some balancing issues that they'd have to work out, just because some guy chasing you down on a horse swinging a sword at you is kind of going to suck if you don't really have a means of outrunning him. But yeah, that's something they could potentially do with mounts too. There's a lot they could do with mounts, and I kind of hope that they explore those different opportunities as opposed to just being like, hey, it's just used for travel, have fun.
Mounted combat would be legit.
It would be interesting.
It'd be so intense if a magician, oh my gosh, a spellcaster.
We talked about this,
Here we go again.
Sorry, if a spellcaster could just do a spell and put up an invisible wall, and then the horse just smashes into the wall. I just think that would be hilarious.
Oh my god! Wow, someone call PETA. No, I'm just kidding. That's interesting. I don't know. That seems sort of OP.
It does kind of OP to have horse in combat. They're probably, if you're on a mount and you start combat, it's going to get you out of the mount. Otherwise, I don't know how it's going to be possible or even fair for the guys to go and smack, Nah.
See, I was thinking, if there was mounted combat, all it would be is if you're on your mount and there's someone that isn't, there's an enemy not on their mount, there's collision detection and your horse runs into them and knocks them down, and then it dismounts you for combat, and you sort of got that sort of advantage. Oh, you knocked them back with your horse. I feel like that would be the only thing they could do for mounted combat wise. I don't know. I think that would be cool.
Yeah.
If you get knocked over by a horse, you're gonna have some broken bones, so that's gonna suck.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, I suppose you could block it with your shield and try to
knocked over by a horse.
Yeah, it would.
Very true. All right, guys, let's have a little bit of fun.
Oh gosh.
Check it out. Question of the day or week, pardon me. Question of the week from the Zenimax Online team. Let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Chris Cassiano. I'm a designer on The Elder Scrolls Online, and I've got a question of the week for you. Many characters in the Elder Scrolls series have had schemes and plans that perhaps weren't so well thought out. What's your favorite bad idea?
Okay. Well, you know how in most games when you noob and you start, what's the first thing you have to kill? Usually.
A bear.
No? Rats, right?
Oh, that's true.
Right.
Yes, very much true.
And
that is true.
Yeah, and in most games in Elder Scrolls too, like Morrowind and whatnot, you start your game and you have your fighter guild quest, and they're like, help me please, I have rats in my basement. And you go and you kill your rats. But in Oblivion, one of the first fighter guild quests that you have to do, this lady, please help me, I have a rat problem. And you're like, okay, she probably just has rats in her dungeon. And she goes like, something is killing my poor babies.
Oh,
and you're like, what's going on? And then you go into her basement, and you see there's mountain lions killing her rats.
Mountain lions?
Mountain lions. And, they probably get in there with holes in the wall or whatnot. So you just go with the scout and says, he's very knowledgeable about the mountain lions, and he says, oh, there's a camp of mountain lions over there, let's just go and kill them. So you kill all the mountain lions in there. You're just about 4 or 5. So you go to that lady and tell her, you've saved the rats, they're safe and all that. And she's, no, it's not true. There's a mountain lion right now into my dungeon killing my babies. So you go down there, you kill the mountain lion, and then she's like, what's going on? I'm sure it's my neighbor, she's jealous of me and whatnot. So you have to go and spy her at night. And you find out that this neighbor actually put some rotten meat outside of this lady's house because she wanted to get the rats out so that the guards could kill the rats, because she wanted the rats to suffer. But she didn't know that putting rotten meat outside the house would just drag all the mountain lions out of the mountain and into the village. So that is my kind of bad plan, because you get mountain lions in the village for wanting to kill rats. Yeah, that's really bad plan. It's the one I got.
That's incredibly intense. But I have one question. How did mountain lions get in that lady's basement?
They say probably through a hole in the wall. That's all. That's all
What? There was like, if I remember correctly, there was like a little hole next to the cellar door, or they opened up the cellar door somehow, and they were like scurrying down there. But I remember that quest. It was an anvil, I believe, right? Yeah, that was.
Yeah, and
It's pretty messed up.
I found it so funny because it was so against everything that is so typical in a game, and that's just rat pets win.
Oh.
Wow.
Poor rat lady.
Jeez. That sucks.
Poor rat lady.
Tim LePerriere. What about you, buddy?
Mine's not nearly as good as Sophie's, but Alduin kind of like failed at his mission to like destroy everything. You know what I'm saying?
He was like screwing around the entire time. I didn't get that. He was just like,
yeah. I mean, he was raising dragons, right? He was bringing dragons back, and they were kind of like flying around and wrecking crap. But ultimately, in the end, he didn't do so well. You chase him to Sovngarde. I believe it's Sovngarde, right? You chase him in, and he's just he just gets destroyed. So,
spoiler.
I mean, yeah, it was a bit of a spoiler.
Oh man,
but
yeah. The ending sort of anticlimactic.
Yeah,
when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
it wasn't. It was cool. Like the story was great. I thought the story was great, and not to get too off topic, the story was great. But I just felt that there could have been a little bit more of an epic, like, battle at the end. I mean, really, just kind of like shout. He comes down, and then you just dragon rend the crap out of him, and he's dead. And it's like,
yeah.
That's why I said Alduin's plan didn't work out so well, because he kind of, got his butt kicked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So.
Sure.
I guess that's to be expected from the Dragonborn, right? I mean, that's kind of his whole purpose, but it is what it is.
Waterboy, what about you?
Well, the Dragonborn is the Almighty, right? Well,
sure.
The Dragonborn was going to do this quest, crossing the land, and as he was crossing the river, he saw a bear, and this bear are ferocious animals, and they're arrogant, so this bear had a sixth sense knowing he was Dragonborn, and he just wanted to be that bear to take down the Dragonborn. So as he was crossing the river, he tried to take down the Dragonborn, but he had another thing coming to him, and the bear died, so...
Tim,
Dan, did you make
Tim Sophie?
I did.
I think I figured out Dan's nickname. Grizzly Man.
That's better than
Teddy.
Waterboy. That's
Teddy bear.
Teddy bear. Oh no.
No, Teddy Bear sounds pathetic.
Right. Teddy bear.
Okay.
I'm kidding, Dan. That was a joke.
Cool.
Good.
All right, so what was the bear's evil plan?
To take down the Dragonborn.
So he was just trying to feed his cubs, and that's evil.
So I guess that's really not an evil plan. It's more of like a plan of survival.
No. The bear was trying to take down the Dragonborn.
Oh, because he knew he had that sixth sense
Yes,
that
the bear
he
had
knew
the
that it was the
sixth sense
Dragonborn.
knowing it was
Right,
Dragonborn,
okay.
So he was just being evil, trying to ruin the goodwill. So
Okay.
Why didn't I know that?
I don't know.
It's probably because it only happened in Dan's game.
Yeah. You
Dan's
guys didn't
playthrough.
have the character of the bear that I had, so I got a different version.
He got upgraded bears.
Yeah.
Must have been mod. All right. Good deal. Good freaking deal. Moving right along with our discussion. Megaserver. What is the Megaserver? What do we know about the Megaserver? Tim LePerriere, lay it on us.
Well, Megaserver, essentially one server made up of what I understand to be different phases. So basically we're all on one server and we are in separate phases and we can switch to another phase, or the game puts us in a phase that puts us with our guild, our friends, and people that we typically like to play with. So people that do PvE will kind of get matched up with people that do PvE. People that do PvP, people that do PvP, so on and so forth. And this kind of creates a community that is able to get things done together because you're playing with people that play just like you. So you're not sitting there in a PvE server looking for people to do PvP or vice versa. And with it all being on one server, the entire world is kind of connected. The entire game world is connected. So it's a lot more, I would say there's a lot more going on, okay? Because you got the different campaigns in Cyrodiil with RVR, and obviously with these different phases and stuff like that, you can just do more because there's more people to interact with. And I think that's pretty cool. Because I don't think it's really actually ever been done. The only thing that I can think of that's close to it is sort of, again, I know this isn't really an MMO, but RuneScape kind of did this, where it was divided up into different worlds, which were sort of, again, different phases, and you could switch between the phases, and each world was kind of designated for a certain thing. One was designated for PvP and PvE and so on and so forth. And that's not to say that you couldn't PvP in a PvE server or whatever, or world or whatever you want to call it, but they kind of put you in that world or whatever that players would go to do, that other players that were interested in doing that would be there. So if you wanted to play Castle Wars, which is basically capture the flag, you could go to the Castle Wars world and play there. So I would say that that's the best example that I can come up with. But Zenimax is so much more deep, and it's got they're adding like social media, you know what I'm saying? Like with the Facebook stuff and all that stuff that they want to add in to kind of really connect players and stuff like that. So this Megaserver technology is pretty legit, I think, and I'm actually looking forward to it. I just hope that it works out because, we've played other games where the servers are supposed to be awesome and they're not so awesome. So
correct me. Go ahead, Sophie.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I've read somewhere, they said that when you start to play, you're actually able to select your profile and the kind of people you want to play with, and not just the play style, but also the age range. Like, do you want to play with a single woman, from 25 to 30? I don't, not that much, but I think you'll be able to select, and that's one thing that brings me to mind is, I've seen on the website that there's a lot of language supported. Are you going to start and say, I want to be with the French people? Or is it going to be totally different?
See, that's my question. Okay.
Well, that's mine too. Okay, good.
This is my biggest, doubt, okay? I don't think that there's going to be one mega server at launch. I think there's going to be more than one mega server. And the reason why is connectivity quality. You got people playing in Europe that are going to be having to play on a server that's in proximity to those countries. Because won't there be connection issues?
Well, here's the thing. You got the server, but then you've got the different phases, and those phases could, technically speaking, be their own separate servers dedicated to they could be set in France. Like RuneScape did that very well. They had servers that were in Australia, but even if you were on the north, even if I live in Michigan, obviously. So I played on a world that was, I think the closest one to me was somewhere in Canada. I played there, but I could easily switch over and play on the Australian server. I got, better connection on the Canadian server, but I could still play with the Australians, and vice versa with them too. So they could have the one mega server, but different miniature servers or the phases, spread throughout the world, you just pick and choose which one.
And what's the point of
you.
Then? That's my point. Is
well, you can switch between them.
Can you switch between them? Because I've seen.
I don't know if you can switch.
I've seen that you can select your profile, and then they're gonna match you with people that you've played with before, or something like that. But how is that gonna work? Like, what if you don't want to play with that person that you've met?
Right, that's what I don't think you can. I think they said that there's a penalty, not like a penalty, but like at least I know this is how it is for campaigns, and I guess I should specify and kind of, not make assumptions of the other one. But I know for campaigns that they've said you get put into a campaign with your guild or whatever, or people that play like you, and then you can switch to another campaign. But they're going to have a system in place so that you can't just keep switching from campaign to campaign to campaign, on a whim. There's going to be some type of penalty to that.
Well, you
or
can, but
a cooldown.
You just lose a ton of alliance points.
Right, well, that's what I'm getting at. I mean, there's going to be a penalty for doing it. Now, if they're doing that for campaigns, I would assume that they would do that for their Megaserver too, right? I mean, if they're going to allow you to switch campaigns because of what's ever going on in your campaign, you don't want to do it anymore. What if you're a hardcore PvPer for a year, and then all of a sudden you're like, look, I'm tired of PvP. I want nothing to do with it anymore. I want to play with people that are solely focused on PvE. Or are they just going to leave you on the PvP, phase, or are they going to? I mean, there's a possibility they could have microtransactions that switch you over to another phase, as if you were getting a server transfer. But I don't know. I really don't know.
Tom.
I'm just assuming since the campaigns were working that way.
Yeah, what's
Tom,
up,
was
man?
your question, why are they doing this all? Is that your question?
I guess I'm sort of cynical about this whole Megaserver idea.
I feel like your
because-
answer why it would be is for convenience. I feel like they think it's harder for people to join servers and to do all that stuff. So to make it easier, they're just going to make it one big server, and it's basically for the convenience of the players.
This is.
Maybe it might be harder though, like with one server, but I think this is their intention, is to make it easier.
Yeah, that's definitely their intention, and I respect that. I'm glad that they're acknowledging it. But I just don't see how it's going to work, especially the social networking aspect. I mean, apparently the social networking in Facebook, for example, if you have a guild group on Facebook, you'll be able to probably import that group and use that as an element to keep you guys all together when you join the server, when you join the mega server. But let's say you want to play with your friends. Well, what if alright, so you want to play with your friends, so they're going to put you with your friends on their server. And then those friends want to play with their friends, and you're going to be put on, those guys are going to be put on those friends' server. Like, it just seems so, like, complex to me. It just seems, I don't know how it's going to, I don't know really how it's going to work.
It brings up a balance issue for me. Like, you're with a bunch of people that have the same playstyle as you. So let's say you're this whole channel, instance, or word, or whatever it's called, together, a bunch of crafters together. So you have all the crafters, they're here. But you're this dude into, like, say, the place where they're all PvP guys. Like, the crafters are not going to be there. I mean, most crafters would be in the other world. If you associate yourself with people that have your same style, what's that going to do?
Yeah, what if you put on your, I don't know, I'm assuming there's going to be, didn't they say there's going to be a form that you're going to fill out before the game launches?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what Sophie was talking about, yeah.
What if you put on your form, I want to play Focus, I want to be a part of a server that's primarily focused on PvP, but your friend, who still wants to play with you, puts on his form, I want to play on a server that's primarily focused on PvE or role-playing or something like that. And sure enough, there's a discrepancy between the comparing applications. Does that mean that they're going? Is it going to still work? And to me, it just sounds, this whole Megaserver thing, I feel like it shouldn't be called a Megaserver. It just sounds like a ton of small servers, essentially shards, that we've seen in other MMORPGs. You just get a list of shards. You're going to go into a zone, and if you go into, for example, what's a zone? Skyrim. Okay, you go into Skyrim, and your friend's in, like, Skyrim 20. Oh, okay. I open up my map. I click on Skyrim drop-down menu comes up with all the numbered servers or shards, and I click on Skyrim 20 and I just join. I guess I just don't see. I don't know. I really hope it's not that instanced, and I just don't understand how this is totally going to be a very convenient system with all these different elements that they're taking into account.
You know, one thing I'm worried about too is that I've read on MMORPG.com, I think it was, they want to implement storylines for your characters. So let's say you do something and it's a huge deal, like in your story you kill some dude. How do you play with a guy in the PvE zone that has this guy still alive, that his whole story is different? Like, say, a town, the example that was given in the article was a village has been burned. Then this character, well, there's no way you can play somewhere where the village is there, or is it possible? Like, what's it gonna do? I don't know.
That's a great point, because you're not going to have the same phase as your friend is going to have, right?
Mm-hmm. Right, they said something along the lines of when you go back to a city after you save that city or town from a werewolf invasion, all these citizens applaud you. And obviously that's going to be different, because if you didn't save it and then your friend did, are you going to see them applauding your friend, or are the NPCs just going to be standing still for you, and on their screen, they're applauding and cheering, or are you just going to be put into a completely different town? You know what I'm saying? And I hope that's not the case. I don't want instanced. That defeats the purpose of playing an MMO when you start instancing too many things.
Yeah, we got a mail time question today from a gentleman that goes by Quathel on Twitter, @RealTrollsGirl. If there is one mega server, how will the players in EU and North American guilds, how will they be sorted? And specifically, I'm wondering how players will be sorted in campaigns, because that's sort of going to suck if, EU players are going to be primarily in EU campaigns and North American players are going to be primarily in North American campaigns, especially since we have a few guild members that are in the EU. How's the connectivity issues going to work? For this, let's say they sort of fight the connection quality. Do you think that they can have servers in Europe or Asia or Australia that are still connected to the Megaserver?
Yeah.
I don't see why not.
Right. That's what I was getting at with the RuneScape analogy. If you look at it, it's all one giant game, but it's just different worlds connected to one giant server, so to speak. You could just easily switch between them. So I could see them doing that.
I think we need to have some faith. They're calling it smart technology, so it must be doing something really high tech.
You're right, Dan.
Wow.
You guys are buming me out over here, like downing it all. I think we need to have some faith in them.
I'm not trying to down it. I think, yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to.
You're not trying to, but you are. So we need to be optimistic about them.
I'm just trying to understand it. We don't know that much about it, and to me, it sort of seems weird that they're calling it a mega server when it's not really a mega server. It's just multiple servers that you could freely change over to.
Well, to us, it's not a mega server, but to the average player, it could be a mega server. They might not know the differences.
I have a question. Is the mega server going to be divided into different channels or instances in Cyrodiil too? Or is in Cyrodiil everybody's going to be together? Because Paul Sage said, or was it Matt that said it, they're able to have 200 players in the same screen together, and they can hold at least 2,000 people in Cyrodiil. So is it going to be like a cap of 2,000 per instance? Or how big is it going to be? Like, how many people are going to be able to fit in there?
Yeah, I think Cyrodiil, Sophie, is going to be part of the campaign.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be part of the just regular other territories, your faction lock territory that you explore.
Right.
Exactly. I think so too.
And I guess that makes it easier since, dude, you know what? That makes sense. That makes sense why factions are locked into their territories, because it's so much easier to sort with the Megaserver. That makes sense right there. There you go. I mean, I mean, that's why that's probably one reason why the territories are locked.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't need to worry about having all of these players across the entire continent, across all these zones, being distributed in the right areas. If you only have to worry by faction. Interesting. I don't know. Wouldn't that make it easier, though? Wouldn't that make it easier? If you have players of the All-Mary Dominion, you only need to worry about those players and where they're going to be. You have who knows, there's maybe a PvE shard, a PvP shard, or an RP PvE shard, RP PvP shard, or just, I don't know, who knows? Wouldn't that make it easier to keep them together if they're locked in just their territory, and then Cyrodiil is just part of the campaign? And that means the Imperial City is part of the campaign, but we don't know how the Imperial City is going to work because it's not even going to be in the game at launch.
Right.
Curious. Curious.
Only time will tell.
Only time will tell. All right, let's jump into our mail time questions, guys and gals. That was the one mail time question. To responding to Quathel, how do you guys want to respond to that? How will EU and North Americans players be sorted server wise?
I think we hit it on the head with that discussion.
Yeah.
I think it might be one thing that you select in your profile at the start. So you're like, I want to play with people from Europe. Then you're going to be with people from Europe, I would think.
Right.
Who knows? Like, speculation.
Let's hope.
Nibbling on Twitter says, at Real Troll Girl, do you plan on doing any community spotlights in the future?
Oh.
One word. Guilds. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so Nibbling, yes, we do plan on it. We're going to be doing it closer to the release of the game, probably. Or maybe sooner than that. We don't know yet. But yes, we do plan on doing community spotlights, and it will be guild-oriented. So just stay tuned to trollscrow.com for future developments on that. Next question. How will healing be in the Elder Scrolls Online? That is asked by Colton on Twitter. Colton Melham. What do you guys think? Sophie, let's start with you. Healing in TESO. What do you think it's going to be like? How's it going to play?
You said healing?
Healing,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
Healing, okay. Well, like I said, I answered one of these questions to one of the guys on Facebook. You know, healing is part of the mage restoration line, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to be doing healing, then you have to be a mage. And I don't know how it's going to work out class-wise. Like, you either a thief, usually, a warrior, or a mage in any of those scrolls. So I don't know if they kind of take the base out, what it's going to do. But everybody can spec into whatever they want, right? So you can probably have a guy that wants to go full healing, another guy wants to go, I want to be more tank, you know. And of course, Paul Sage says something really good for, you know, the achievers. If you want to cap on everything, every skill, it's also possible. So you could have like crazy character who's maxed at everything, and he's just like a healer, the fighter, the thief, the mage, whatever, you know. I'm probably going to be one of them. I mean, I'm going to try. Crazy character. I hope that answers Koten's question.
Yeah, Tim, what's your take? How do you think healing's going to be?
You know, if it plays along the lines of previous Elder Scroll titles, you know, you play other MMOs and there's sort of a cooldown to your healing abilities, but in other Elder Scrolls Elder Scrolls titles, you could just keep healing until you ran out of magicka. So, I'm not entirely sure if this has been confirmed or not. I know there was some discussion about this on our guild forums earlier today. But, if it stays true to that, I would assume that it would be somewhat along the lines, similar to that. So basically, you have to manage your magicka. You don't have a cooldown to kind of, prevent you from just casting heals left and right, left and right, left and right, left and right. I mean, you have to kind of manage how much you're using, how quickly you're burning your magicka, and anything else that you have to use. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you're a mage and you're a healer at the same time, you've got to be able to do a little bit of DPS here, but also keep your party up and going. So, it could really depend. I kind of hope that they do that, just because I think it would add a little bit more of a challenge. I mean, yeah, you could get a lot of burst heals in right away, but then you're kind of screwed later on. You know what I'm saying? So it could add an interesting playstyle.
Dan, do you plan on being a healer in TESO?
No. People are going to heal me for me, so it's not a big deal.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
I don't play healers. I need to kill stuff. I don't play healer.
Wow. That's dark.
I mean, like, I try to be passive. I'm like, yeah, okay, people are killing, and I'm here healing that. No.
Yeah, I'm not a passive player either. I go straight into the battles. So.
Dan goes hard.
Dan goes right for the bears.
Yes, I go in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the healing customization class-wise in this game, because it's so freelance. You're going to, I mean, there's going to be interesting builds for a healer. You could have a ranged healer that uses a bow as his weapon, maybe. Like holy crap. It's going to be insane. There was something a guild member was talking about, which I'm not going to spoil, but he wanted to do something with the healer where he sort of, I'm going to spoil it. He wanted to be a stealthed healer. That was his plan. He wanted to cloak in, heal his teammates, and then he could cloak out and use that invisibility aspect to get him into the fight and out of the fight when need be.
Why not? Why not? Everything's going to be possible.
Crazy.
It's going to be, I mean, you create your own balance. You know what you need, so.
It's going to be, it's going to be so hard to balance. I feel so bad for Zenimax Online. It's going to be hard to balance, but it is going to be freaking awesome. Okay, guys and girls, episode 12 of Troll Scroll, your Elder Scrolls Online podcast. We are wrapping up. Thank you for tuning into the show. Tim LePerriere, where can they find more information, about Troll Scrolls Guild?
Talking about Legion? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
You're hinting at Legion?
Oh, yeah.
Well, there's two places you can go. You can go to trollscroll.com, and there's a little button up at the top, a little tab you can give a click, and it'll take you to a page that'll take you to our website. Or you can type in your address bar, www.legionhq.engine.com. legionhq.engine.com. Go ahead, take a look at the guild policy, the guild ranking system. You have to register, though, on the website, or if you have a previous engine account, you have to register that account with our website in order to post an application. I've been getting quite a few, actually, emails about people saying, hey, I want to join your guild, but I can't send in an application. And then I go and look at the user list, and they're not actually registered. So you have to register first, and then you can go ahead, visit our recruitment form, post an application, and go from there. So check us out.
Nice. Where can they follow you on Twitter?
Follow me? Haha. Follow me at _French_guy.
La French guy. Very nice. Very nice. Sophie, give our audience the breakdown. Where can they find you?
They can find me on Twitter at Ederberga, EADERBRECA. Sophie Breca on YouTube and Ederberga on Facebook.
Good deal. And Grizzly Man, a.k.a. Dan the Man, a.k.a. Waterboy.
AKA so many names.
Yeah. God.
Yeah.
What's your name on Twitter? Bear Boy or something?
No, it's at Dan Del Signor.
Oh, it's your real name.
It is
Oh.
my real name.
Very nice.
Glad.
Very nice. How ironic. Oh, good deal. Good deal. Yeah, for more information, check out trollscroll.com for all the news you need to know about the Elder Scrolls Online. We are on Podomatic, podcast-wise. We are on iTunes. We are on Stitcher Radio. We are on YouTube. We are on Zune Marketplace. We are everywhere. Google Troll Scroll Podcast and click on the first link. It will take you to our podcast. Guaranteed. Other than that, follow at Real Troll Scroll. Have a pleasant week. We'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Cheerio.